the beginning of the story, the audience is introduced to a highly successful and widely admired singer named Hoo-Jan. He's known for his talent, charm, and impressive list of achievements, including numerous awards that have solidified his place at the top of the entertainment industry. On the day the story begins, he's preparing for yet another major performance. While he sits in the makeup room getting ready, his assistant approaches him and hands him a card, wishing him a happy birthday. Even in such a simple moment, it becomes clear that his life is filled with attention, recognition, and constant activity. In contrast to his glamorous world, we are introduced to Gun Young, a hardworking journalist employed at a media company. Her daily life is far less glamorous. She spends her time completing tedious office tasks such as organizing documents and copying files. Her boss is strict and demanding, constantly pushing employees to work harder. At one point, she announces that if the staff wants to enjoy upcoming celebrations, they must first complete all their planning work in advance. This creates pressure throughout the office, forcing everyone, including Gun Young, to focus intensely on their responsibilities. Elsewhere, another important figure is introduced, Jae-jun, the confident and ambitious CEO of a company called JJ Entertainment. He is calculating and competitive, often thinking several steps ahead. At one moment, he checks his watch and confidently remarks that something he arranged should have already reached its destination, implying that he carefully orchestrates events behind the scenes. His personality suggests that he is someone who values control, influence, and success above all else. As the story continues, we see Hoo-Jan engaging with the media, posing for photographs and interacting with industry professionals. Meanwhile, Gun Young reflects on her personal life. She looks at a picture of her boyfriend Roy and recalls happier times they spent together. In her memory, they celebrated special occasions, shared laughter, and expressed affection openly. Roy once invited her to a couples event and even gifted her a pair of shoes, which she appreciated deeply. These memories highlight how much she valued their relationship. However, in the present, her reality is far less comforting. Her boss assigns her a heavy workload with a strict deadline, making it clear that failure is not an option. Gun Young feels overwhelmed but understands that she must complete her work if she wants to keep her job. Despite her exhaustion, she prepares herself to meet Roy later, still holding on to the hope of maintaining their relationship. On her way to meet him, she accidentally bumps into a stranger, causing the bouquet she is carrying to fall. The stranger also has flowers, and in the confusion, he ends up taking hers while leaving his behind. Gun Young brushes it off, thinking the color difference is not a big issue. However, what she sees next completely changes her emotional state. She discovers Roy being affectionate with another man, the same person she just encountered. The sight shocks her deeply. At first, she hesitates, unsure how to react. She even imagines confronting him angrily but quickly realizes she must face reality calmly. When she finally confronts Roy, he tries to justify his actions by claiming he was testing his own feelings. This explanation only makes things worse. Gun Young feels insulted, as if she had been treated like an experiment rather than a partner. Hurt and angry, she walks away, ending the relationship. At the same time, Jae-jun is shown having dinner with his girlfriend in Haeyoung. Their conversation reveals that they have been together for several years, but their relationship is not entirely stable. Jae-jun appears possessive and somewhat insecure, especially when the topic of Hoo-jan arises. It becomes clear that in Haeyoung and Hoo-jan share a past romantic connection which fuels Jae-jun's jealousy. Despite his outward confidence, he struggles internally with feelings of rivalry and resentment toward Hoo-jan. Meanwhile, Hoo-jan continues to achieve success, even receiving a major award for his singing. While the public celebrates his accomplishments, his personal life is more complicated. A flashback reveals that he once intended to confess his feelings to In Haeyoung, only to discover her with Jae-jun. This moment left a lasting emotional impact on him, explaining some of the tension between the characters. Back in Gun Young's life, she struggles to cope with her breakup. She vents her frustration to a friend, expressing how betrayed she feels. In a moment of emotional distress, she even considers throwing away the gifts Roy gave her, including the dress and shoes she once cherished. However, her friend convinces her to reconsider, reminding her of their value and the effort she put into earning them. Time passes, and Gun Young is eventually assigned to cover an important event hosted by JJ Entertainment. This event brings together key figures from the entertainment world, including Hoo-jan and Jae-jun. Both Gun Young and Hoo-jan receive invitations, setting the stage for their paths to cross again. At the event, Gun Young arrives dressed elegantly, wearing the same outfit connected to her past relationship. As she looks around, she becomes curious about Hoo-jan's presence. When she approaches a car to see if he is inside, he suddenly steps out, causing her to nearly fall. He catches her just in time, preventing her from getting hurt. This brief interaction is their first direct encounter, though it begins awkwardly. Inside the event, Gun Young focuses on her job, taking photographs and documenting the occasion. Meanwhile, Jae-jun delivers a speech, welcoming guests and subtly expressing his competitive attitude toward Hoo-jun. When Hoo-jun arrives, the atmosphere changes immediately, with the audience reacting enthusiastically. Despite pretending to be polite, Jae-jun cannot hide his jealousy. Throughout the event, various interactions reveal the complex relationships between the characters. Hoo-jun and Jae-jun exchange subtle remarks filled with underlying tension. In Hyung also interacts with Hoo-jun, creating an uncomfortable dynamic. Meanwhile, Gun-young continues her work, unaware that she is about to become directly involved in the unfolding drama. At one point, she accidentally witnesses Hoo-jun in a heated moment where he appears to act aggressively toward someone. Shocked by what she sees, she tries to leave, but Hoo-jun notices her. Mistaking her for a stalker, he confronts her and demands to see her camera. In the chaos, he ends up damaging the equipment, creating a serious problem for her professionally. Things escalate further when Gun-young, already feeling unwell, accidentally vomits on his shoes. Embarrassed and frustrated, she apologizes but also demands accountability for the broken camera. Hoo-jun offers to compensate her financially, but she insists that money is not the issue. She criticizes his behavior, pointing out that he lacks basic manners despite his fame. Their argument becomes intense, with both sides expressing frustration. Hoo-jun accuses her of seeking attention or money, while Gun-young stands her ground, refusing to be intimidated by his status. Eventually, his assistant intervenes, apologizing on his behalf and covering the cost of the damaged equipment. However, the conflict does not end there. Outside the venue, Gun-young confronts Hoo-jun again, demanding a proper apology. He tries to dismiss her, but she refuses to back down. Frustrated by his attitude, she acts impulsively and throws her shoe at him in anger. This unexpected moment is captured by a nearby reporter, turning their private conflict into a public incident. The scene ends with shock and tension. Onlookers are stunned, while Jae-jun observes the situation with a sense of satisfaction, seeing an opportunity in the chaos. Hoo-jun, visibly angered, is quickly taken away by his assistant, leaving behind a situation that is likely to have serious consequences for everyone involved. This series of events sets the foundation for a story filled with misunderstandings, emotional struggles, rivalry, and unexpected connections between individuals from very different worlds. At the very beginning of the story, we are introduced to a well-known performer named Hoo-jun, a highly celebrated singer who has earned numerous awards throughout his career. His popularity is undeniable, and he carries himself with the confidence of someone used to being admired by millions. On the day of his birthday, he is sitting in a dressing room while his assistant approaches him with a card, politely wishing him well. The moment seems calm, yet it subtly hints at the life of constant attention he lives. Elsewhere, we meet Gun-young, a journalist working at a media company. Her daily routine is far less glamorous. She is busy handling paperwork when her boss gathers the staff and announces that if they want to enjoy the upcoming celebrations, they must first complete all their responsibilities ahead of time. The pressure immediately pushes everyone into a rush of activity. Gun-young, like the others, has no choice but to focus on her tasks despite feeling exhausted. At the same time, another key figure, Jae-jun, the head of a powerful company, is shown preparing for something important. He checks the time and speaks as if he is expecting a reaction from someone, suggesting there are deeper plans at play. His calm yet calculating demeanor hints that he is someone who carefully controls situations to his advantage. Meanwhile, Hoo-jun continues his busy schedule, participating in photo shoots and receiving attention from his team. His career appears flawless on the surface. In contrast, Gun-young finds herself distracted at work, staring at a picture of her boyfriend, Roy. Memories flood her mind of happier times they shared, celebrating together, laughing and making plans for the future. In those memories, Roy had even invited her to a special event and gifted her something meaningful, creating the illusion of a perfect relationship. Back in reality, her boss interrupts her thoughts, assigning her a large amount of work to complete in a short time. The pressure adds to her frustration, but she has no choice but to continue. She quietly tells herself that finishing the work is the only way she can move forward. Later, Hoo-jun performs on stage, showcasing his talent to an audience that adores him. At the same time, Gun-young prepares to visit Roy, hoping to spend time with him. However, her expectations are shattered when she accidentally witnesses him being affectionate with another man. The shock leaves her frozen. At first, she imagines confronting him angrily, but then she gathers herself and decides to face reality calmly. When she finally approaches him, she expresses her disappointment and pain before walking away, ending the relationship. Elsewhere, Jae-jun is seen dining with his partner, reflecting on how much time has passed in their relationship. Despite the calm setting, tension arises when Hoo-jan's name comes up. It becomes clear that there is a complicated history between them, especially involving Jae-jun's partner who once had a connection with Hoo-jan. This creates an undercurrent of jealousy and unresolved feelings. Gun-young, heartbroken from her breakup, vents her frustration to a friend. She considers throwing away the gifts Roy gave her, but her friend advises her to think carefully instead of acting out of anger. This moment shows Gun-young's emotional vulnerability but also hints at her resilience. As time passes, Gun-young is assigned to cover an event organized by Jae-jun's company. This event will also include Hoo-jan, making it a significant opportunity. Meanwhile, Hoo-jan receives the same invitation and recalls a painful memory from the past involving Jae-jun and his partner. This shared history adds tension to the upcoming meeting. At the event, Gun-young arrives dressed carefully, trying to maintain professionalism despite her personal struggles. She accidentally crosses paths with Hoo-jan near a car, leading to a brief but awkward interaction. Though nothing major happens, it marks the beginning of their complicated relationship. Inside the event, Jae-jun welcomes guests and tries to maintain a composed image, even as Hoo-jan's presence draws more attention. Their conversation is filled with subtle tension and hidden rivalry. Gun-young, meanwhile, focuses on her work, trying to capture important moments. Things take a dramatic turn when Gun-young unexpectedly witnesses an incident involving Hoo-jan that shocks her. She attempts to leave quietly, but he confronts her, suspecting her of being intrusive. The situation escalates when he damages her camera in a moment of anger. Already overwhelmed, Gun-young reacts emotionally, criticizing him for his behavior and accusing him of hiding his true personality behind his public image. The confrontation worsens when she accidentally creates an embarrassing situation involving him. This incident is captured by onlookers and it quickly spreads, turning into a scandal. The next day, the story becomes public and Gun-young faces serious consequences. Her workplace dismisses her, leaving her without a job. She realizes that Hoo-jan's influence played a role in this outcome and resentment begins to grow inside her. Struggling with financial difficulties, she is forced to leave her apartment and stay with a friend. Despite her hardships, she refuses to give up and decides to expose what she believes is the truth about Hoo-jan. However, when she tries to share her story, no one believes her, leaving her feeling isolated and powerless. Determined not to back down, she confronts him again in public, demanding an apology. Instead, she is met with hostility from his fans. Unexpectedly, Hoo-jan steps in and diffuses the situation by offering a public apology, though his motives seem more strategic than sincere. Soon after, an unusual opportunity arises. A reality show concept is introduced where a celebrity and their critic must live together. Both Hoo-jan and Gun-young are considered for the project. Initially, both hesitate, but the potential benefits convince them to participate. This decision sets the stage for a unique and complicated dynamic between them. Gun-young finds herself living in the same space as Hoo-jan, leading to awkward and sometimes humorous interactions. Their personalities clash constantly. Her straightforward and emotional nature contrasts sharply with his composed and sometimes arrogant attitude. Despite this, moments of understanding begin to appear. During filming, various situations bring them closer even as they continue to argue. At one point, a minor accident during a scene leads to an unexpected moment between them, leaving both confused about their feelings. As the story progresses, their relationship evolves from hostility to something more nuanced. Gun-young begins to see sides of Hoo-jan that the public does not, while he starts to appreciate her honesty and determination. Throughout the show, they are forced to spend time together, share experiences, and face challenges. These shared moments gradually break down the walls between them. What began as a forced partnership slowly transforms into a deeper connection neither of them anticipated. By the time their journey unfolds further, both characters have changed significantly. Gun-young grows stronger and more confident, while Hoo-jan becomes more open and emotionally aware. Their story becomes not just about conflict, but about growth, understanding, and the possibility of unexpected love emerging from the most unlikely circumstances. In the end, their journey highlights how misunderstandings, pride, and past pain can evolve into something meaningful when people are willing to confront their flaws and see each other honestly. The story continues with Hoo-John receiving a message from In Hyung, someone clearly important from his past. She decides to visit him at his home, perhaps hoping to reconnect or at least talk things through. However, when she arrives, he refuses to see her. This silent rejection leaves her hurt and she walks away with a heavy heart. Her disappointment reflects that whatever they once had is far from resolved. A memory from earlier times reveals a deeper layer of their relationship. In that moment from the past, In Hyung had taken Hoo-John aside during an event, expressing concern about how her actions might have affected him. She admitted that she felt stuck emotionally, unable to move forward. Hoo-John responded honestly, telling her that leaving that night without saying anything had been painful for him. He acknowledged that he had contributed to her loneliness but also insisted that she should stop worrying about him and instead live her life confidently, without forcing herself into roles or expectations that didn't suit her. It was a bittersweet exchange, two people who once cared deeply, now unable to return to what they had. Back in the present, Gun Young arrives at Hoo-John's house and notices In Hyung leaving. She instantly recognizes her as the same woman involved in a past incident that had raised questions in her mind. Curious and suspicious, she follows her outside. Just as In Hyung is about to leave, Hoo-John suddenly appears and wraps his arms around Gun Young in front of her. The gesture shocks Gun Young, who has no idea why he would do such a thing. After In Hyung leaves, Gun Young demands an explanation, confused and slightly angry. Hoo-John brushes it off and instead questions her presence. She explains that she came to apologize for something she had done earlier, insisting it had only been meant as a harmless joke. He responds coldly, warning her not to cross certain lines if she intends to stay in his house. Later that night, Gun Young can't stop thinking about the mysterious woman. Her curiosity grows stronger and she begins researching Hoo-John online, trying to uncover details about his personal life. She reasons that someone like him must have had meaningful relationships in the past, and she becomes determined to uncover the truth. Around this time, Jae-jun appears again, returning a personal item to Gun Young and commenting on how bold she had been in confronting Hoo-John earlier. He seems to enjoy pointing out Hoo-John's hidden nature, hinting that there are sides of him the public never sees. When Gun Young asks directly if Hoo-John has secrets, Jae-jun subtly encourages her curiosity without giving a clear answer, leaving her even more intrigued. During a filming session, Gun Young unexpectedly finds herself in a familiar place, her former boyfriend Roy's workplace. The realization makes her uncomfortable and she considers leaving, but the production team pulls her back in. Roy greets her as if nothing significant ever happened between them, which only adds to her frustration. As part of the filming, Hoo-John and Roy prepare food for her, creating an awkward situation filled with unspoken tension. Gun Young struggles to keep her composure, especially when memories of her past relationship begin to resurface. Throughout the shoot, subtle interactions reveal how observant Hoo-John is. When Gun Young tries to act unaffected, he notices her discomfort and reacts in small but deliberate ways. After filming, Roy attempts to speak with her, but she shuts him down, making it clear she wants nothing to do with him anymore. When Hoo-John later asks about their connection, she avoids the question, telling him to focus on his own affairs. Meanwhile, In Hyung is dealing with her own emotional struggles. She tries to rekindle something with Jae-jun, revisiting memories from the past and attempting to bring back the feelings they once shared. However, it becomes clear that unresolved issues still linger between them. Their conversations reveal that Hoo-John remains a shadow over their relationship, making it difficult for them to move forward. Eventually, frustration builds and they part ways in anger. Shortly after, Hoo-John encounters them arguing outside. His presence escalates the situation, leading to a confrontation between him and Jae-jun. Old emotions surface and harsh words are exchanged. Hoo-John makes it clear that he regrets how things ended in the past, but he also warns Jae-jun not to hurt In Hyung again. The moment highlights the complicated web of relationships connecting all three of them. Back at home, Gun Young finds herself slowly becoming more comfortable in Hoo-John's space. One evening, he brings her food and they share a rare, calm conversation. She opens up about her childhood, explaining how her mother used to run a small food business and how those memories shaped her perspective on life. Hoo-John listens quietly, revealing a softer side of himself. As the night continues, their conversation turns more personal. Hoo-John asks her if she has ever tried to protect something important in her life. She answers honestly, admitting that she once tried to protect both her love and her career but failed in both cases. Her words resonate with him, prompting him to reveal that he too has experienced loss. He speaks about not being able to protect the people he cared about, including his family and someone he once loved. This shared vulnerability creates a subtle bond between them. The following day, filming resumes with scenes involving everyday activities. To everyone's surprise, Hoo-John proves to be capable of handling practical tasks, showing skills that contrast with his celebrity image. Gun Young watches him with curiosity, realizing there is much more to him than she initially thought. Still, her curiosity about his secrets continues to grow. She becomes determined to explore a locked room in his house, convinced that it holds answers. Just as she attempts to enter, he stops her, redirecting her attention elsewhere. The moment only deepens her suspicion. Later, she accidentally comes across an item that leads to a misunderstanding. Believing it belongs to Hu-jan, she confronts him, only to learn that it was actually a gift from a fan. Embarrassed by her assumption, she tries to defend herself, but he teases her for jumping to conclusions without evidence. Their exchange, though tense, carries a hint of playful chemistry. As time passes, Gun Young begins to feel conflicted about her role in the reality show. Public reactions and criticism start to affect her, making her question whether she should continue. She considers quitting and even receives a job offer that would allow her to expose Hu-jan's private life. However, when faced with the decision, she chooses not to betray him, signaling a shift in her perspective. Determined to continue honestly, she rushes to rejoin the filming team, arriving just in time to travel with them. During the journey, her interactions with Hu-jan become more natural, though they still argue frequently. Others around them even mistake them for a couple, adding a humorous layer to their dynamic. Their trip takes them to another country where they spend time together exploring new places. Away from their usual environment, they begin to relax around each other. They share meals, walk through unfamiliar streets, and engage in lighthearted conversations. These moments allow them to see each other in a different light, free from the pressures of their usual lives. However, complications arise again when Hu-jan encounters In Hyung during a professional meeting. Her presence brings back unresolved feelings and creates tension once more. Jae-jun soon appears as well, leading to another confrontation. Hu-jan tries to mediate, urging them to stop arguing and handle their issues calmly. Through all these events, the relationship between Hu-jan and Gun Young continues to evolve. What started as conflict and misunderstanding gradually transforms into something more complex. They begin to trust each other, even if they are not ready to admit it openly. The story at this point becomes a blend of emotional growth, unresolved past connections, and the slow development of a new bond. Each character is forced to confront their own choices and the consequences of their actions. As the narrative unfolds, it becomes clear that the journey ahead will challenge them even further, pushing them to face their fears, let go of the past, and decide what truly matters in their lives. At the beginning of the story, the spotlight falls on a hugely popular singer named Hu-jan, a celebrity admired by countless fans and recognized with many prestigious awards. He is shown preparing backstage, surrounded by the usual buzz of assistants and stylists. While sitting in the makeup room, his assistant approaches him with a card, warmly wishing him a happy birthday. Despite the cheerful gesture, there's a hint of distance in his demeanor, as if he's used to such moments but no longer deeply moved by them. At the same time, in a completely different environment, a young journalist named Gun Young is busy at her workplace. She works in a media company where the atmosphere is tense and demanding. Her boss gathers the employees and emphasizes that if they want a successful year ahead, they must start working hard immediately. The statement puts pressure on everyone, pushing them to focus intensely on their tasks. Gun Young, like the others, throws herself into her work, even though she seems somewhat distracted and burdened by her own personal struggles. Meanwhile, another important figure is introduced, Jae-jun, the confident and ambitious CEO of a powerful company. He checks the time and mentions that flowers he sent should have arrived by now, implying he has a personal agenda. With a determined expression, he leaves his office, clearly planning to confront or meet someone important. Back in the entertainment world, Hu-jan is attending a photo session with his team. The media staff congratulate him on his birthday before moving on, leaving him once again in the spotlight. In contrast, Gun Young sits at her desk, gazing at a photo of her boyfriend Roy. This triggers a memory of a happier time when they celebrated together, shared laughter, and made plans for a couple's party. Roy had even gifted her a pair of shoes, and everything seemed perfect back then. However, the present tells a different story. Gun Young is overwhelmed with work assigned by her boss, who demands she finish organizing documents within a tight deadline. Though frustrated, she has no choice but to comply. Meanwhile, Hu-jan performs on stage, captivating audiences as expected, showing the stark contrast between his glamorous life and Gun Young's stressful routine. Later, Gun Young decides to visit Roy carrying a bouquet. On her way, she accidentally bumps into a stranger, causing both of them to drop their flowers. In the confusion, the stranger takes her bouquet while leaving his behind. She shrugs it off, thinking the situation isn't too bad. But when she arrives, she witnesses something shocking: Roy being affectionate with that same man. The sight leaves her stunned and heartbroken. At first, she imagines confronting him aggressively, but in reality, she gathers her courage and faces him calmly. Roy tries to explain himself, saying he was confused about his feelings and wanted to understand his identity. Gun Young, deeply hurt, questions why he used her in such a way. She walks away, ending their relationship and feeling betrayed. Elsewhere, Jae-jun is having dinner with his girlfriend in Haeyoung. Their conversation reveals a complicated dynamic, especially when Hoo-jeon's name comes up. It becomes clear that In Haeyoung has a past with Hoo-jeon which still affects Jae-jun deeply. His jealousy and insecurity surface, creating tension between them. Gun Young, devastated by her breakup, vents to her friend and considers throwing away everything Roy gave her. Her friend stops her, reminding her of the value of those items, not just financially but emotionally. This moment shows Gun Young's struggle between letting go and holding on. Time passes and a new opportunity arises. Gun Young is assigned to cover an event hosted by Jae-jun's company where Hoo-jeon will also be present. Both of them receive invitations, setting the stage for their inevitable interaction. Hoo-jeon recalls a painful memory of seeing In Haeyoung with Jae-jun in the past, which still lingers in his mind. At the event, Gun Young arrives dressed in the same outfit Roy once gifted her, symbolizing her attempt to move forward despite lingering emotions. She accidentally encounters Hoo-jeon near his car, leading to a brief but awkward interaction. Although nothing major happens, it marks the beginning of their complicated relationship. Inside the event, the atmosphere is lively, filled with celebrities and media personnel. Jae-jun takes the stage to address the guests, while Hoo-jeon's arrival draws excitement from the crowd. The tension between Jae-jun and Hoo-jeon is noticeable, though they maintain polite exchanges. Gun Young continues her work, trying to capture important moments while staying professional. As the evening unfolds, Gun Young unexpectedly witnesses something disturbing involving Hoo-jeon. Misinterpreting the situation, she forms a negative opinion about him. When confronted, their interaction escalates due to misunderstandings and her physical discomfort from drinking too much. In a chaotic moment, Hoo-jeon breaks her camera, further fueling her anger. The situation worsens when she accidentally vomits on his shoes, leading to an embarrassing confrontation. Though he offers to compensate for the damage, she criticizes his attitude, accusing him of hiding his true personality. Their argument becomes heated, establishing the foundation of their antagonistic relationship. Outside the venue, Gun Young demands an apology from him, but he dismisses her, assuming she is after money or attention. Frustrated, she reacts impulsively and throws her shoe at him. The moment is captured by reporters, instantly turning into a scandal. This incident spreads rapidly, damaging Gun Young's reputation and costing her job. Struggling with financial issues and emotional stress, she becomes determined to expose Hoo-jeon. However, when she tries to share her side of the story, no one believes her, leaving her isolated and frustrated. Eventually, circumstances bring them together again through a reality show project where they are forced to live together. Initially, both resist the idea, but financial and professional pressures push them to accept. Their interactions are filled with tension, sarcasm, and misunderstandings, but also moments of unexpected vulnerability. As they spend more time together, they begin to see different sides of each other. Gun Young realizes that Hoo-jeon isn't as cold as he appears, while he starts to appreciate her honesty and resilience. Despite their constant arguments, a subtle bond begins to form. Their journey takes them to various locations, including international trips where they face challenges and share experiences that gradually change their perspectives. Gun Young struggles with public criticism and self-doubt, while Hoo-jeon deals with unresolved feelings from his past and the pressures of fame. Over time, their relationship evolves from hostility to mutual understanding. They support each other during difficult moments, confronting personal fears and insecurities. Gun Young learns to stand strong despite public judgment, and Hoo-jeon begins to open up emotionally. Complications arise with the involvement of Jae-jun and In Haeyoung, whose past connections with Hoo-jeon create emotional conflicts. Jealousy, misunderstandings, and lingering feelings complicate the situation further, testing the strength of the growing bond between Gun Young and Hoo-jeon. Despite all obstacles, both characters continue to grow individually and together. Gun Young gains confidence and starts to rebuild her career, while Hoo-jeon learns to trust and care for someone genuinely again. Their journey is filled with ups and downs, but it ultimately leads them towards self-discovery and emotional healing. By the end, their story transforms into one of growth, forgiveness, and unexpected love. What began as conflict and resentment gradually turns into understanding and connection, proving that even the most unlikely relationships can evolve into something meaningful when people are willing to change and face their truths. The following day, the story spreads rapidly across media platforms and becomes a hot topic everywhere. As a result, Hoo-Jan contacts the company where Gaon Yang works and files a complaint against her. This leads to serious consequences, and her boss ultimately dismisses her from her position. Gaon quickly realizes that Hoo-Jan is behind this situation, and her frustration toward him turns into resentment. When she returns to her apartment afterward, she discovers that both her electricity and water have been shut off because she hasn't paid her bills. With nowhere else to go, she gathers her belongings and heads to her friend's place. While sharing a meal there, she confesses that she lost her job because of Hoo-Jan and vows to reveal the truth about him. Determined, she approaches another media company and explains everything that happened, including the incident where she struck Hoo-Jan with her heel. However, no one believes her version of events, leaving her feeling helpless and disheartened. Still unwilling to give up, she later goes directly to Hoo-Jan's office where a crowd of his fans has gathered. She demands that he come out and apologize. Instead of supporting her, the fans turn hostile and begin attacking her. At that moment, Hoo-Jan arrives. His presence immediately shifts everyone's attention and the fans leave Gaon alone to rush toward him. Seeing her on the ground, he helps her up and publicly claims that there has been a misunderstanding. He apologizes to her in front of everyone and even says he will try to win her over so she becomes his fan. Then he takes her inside. Once alone, he asks if she is satisfied. She replies that while she initially only wanted an apology, now she also wants her job back. He responds bluntly, suggesting that she might have been fired due to poor performance. To prove his point, he shows her an article she had written criticizing him, which she had submitted to a media outlet. Embarrassed, she has no response. Later, he meets her again and apologizes for their earlier encounter, returning the heel she had used. She thanks him but remains determined. Soon after, she returns to his office where reporters question her motives. She openly declares that she wants to expose his true personality and calls herself his anti-fan. This statement gains attention, and she begins appearing in news coverage, which worries her friend. Meanwhile, Hoo-Jan is approached with an offer to participate in a reality show titled "So I Married the Anti-Fan." Although he initially refuses, the promise of a high payment makes him reconsider. At the same time, Gaon is invited to join the project as a writer. The concept requires her to live with a celebrity to understand him better, eventually leading to a romantic storyline. Upon learning that Hoo-Jan is involved, she initially refuses but later reconsiders after encouragement from her friends, who believe the show could change her life. Eventually, both agree to participate. Preparations begin and they are informed that filming will take place in Hoo-Jan's home. Unexpectedly, Gaon finds herself without a place to stay and ends up entering the same house using the access code provided earlier. When Hoo-Jan arrives and finds her there, both are surprised. Their conversation is awkward and filled with sarcasm, but she insists she has nowhere else to go. As they begin living together, their interactions are filled with conflict, misunderstandings, and occasional humor. During filming, Gaon struggles with various tasks, including driving, which leads to a dangerous moment where she nearly causes an accident. In the chaos, the two accidentally share a kiss, leaving both shocked. Despite their constant arguments, moments of unexpected care begin to appear. Hoo-Jan helps her when she is in trouble and she starts noticing a different side of him. At the same time, complications arise from his past relationships, particularly involving in Hyung and Jae-jun. Their history creates tension, revealing unresolved emotions and hidden conflicts. As filming continues, Gaon faces criticism from the public, harsh comments online, and emotional struggles. She even receives an offer to spy on Hoo-Jan and report his secrets, but she refuses, choosing not to betray him. This decision marks a turning point in her character. Their relationship slowly evolves as they spend more time together. They share vulnerable conversations, revealing regrets and past pain. Hoo-Jan admits he couldn't protect someone important to him, while Gaon reflects on her own losses. These moments create a subtle bond between them. During a trip abroad for filming, they experience both fun and challenges, including getting lost, dealing with injuries, and facing emotional situations involving their past connections. Hoo-Jan shows genuine concern for her, and she begins to see him differently. Back home, public pressure intensifies. Gaon struggles with criticism and self-doubt while Jan supports her in his own way. He advises her not to let negativity consume her and encourages her to stay strong. Their dynamic becomes more complex as jealousy, misunderstandings, and unresolved feelings come into play. Jae-jun's presence adds tension, and Gaon finds herself caught between different truths about Jan's past. Eventually, conflicts escalate, rumors spread, trust is shaken, and Jan even considers leaving the show after hearing false information about Gaon. When he learns the truth, he regrets his actions. Despite everything, their connection deepens. Emotional confrontations lead to honesty, and Jan admits he cares about her more than he expected. In a moment of vulnerability, he confesses his feelings and kisses her, though she struggles to trust him fully due to his past. Later, he takes her to visit her hometown where she reconnects with her family. The visit is chaotic but meaningful, allowing both of them to experience a different side of each other's lives. Her parents initially react strongly but eventually accept the situation. That night, under a quiet sky, Jan shares more about his past, revealing his real name and background. He speaks about his life before fame and the emotions he has been carrying. In that peaceful moment, he admits that he is beginning to truly like her. As their journey continues, both characters find themselves changing. What started as hostility gradually transforms into something more complicated and genuine, filled with emotional growth, unresolved pasts, and the possibility of love. After spending meaningful time in her hometown, Gaoni and Jan prepare to return. Before they leave, her mother carefully packs a large amount of homemade food for them, making sure they won't go hungry on the way. Her father also hands Jan a bag filled with fruits and other items, showing his concern in his own quiet way. Though the farewell is simple, it carries warmth, and both of them leave with mixed emotions. Meanwhile, back in the city, trouble begins to surface again. Jae-jun comes across a disturbing post about Jan circulating online and immediately grows anxious. Around the same time, Gaon arrives at the studio, only to find the writer staring at the same post with a serious expression. The atmosphere feels tense. When Gaon asks what's wrong, the writer informs her that filming has been cancelled for now and shows her the post. It contains damaging rumors about Jan's past, claiming he was involved with a female trainee whom he later abandoned. Reading these accusations shocks Gaon deeply, and she feels upset not only for Jan but also for how quickly the public turns against him. The rumors spread rapidly, and people begin criticizing him harshly. At the same time, tensions rise between Jae-jun and In Hyung. He confronts her angrily, questioning why she leaked a song connected to him, which has now drawn attention to her past. He worries that people will uncover their history. In Hyung, however, accuses him of being jealous and manipulative, suggesting that he once used her to hurt Jan and now wants to use someone else. Their argument escalates, revealing unresolved resentment. She admits she no longer feels valued in their relationship, and in a moment of anger, he slaps her. The situation leaves both of them emotionally shaken. Elsewhere, Gaon is at her friend's place, overwhelmed and in tears. Jan finds her there and gently asks why she didn't go home. She brushes off the question, but he can see she's hurting. Without saying much, he takes her hand and suggests they go somewhere quiet. While they are away, another crisis unfolds. In Hyung is discovered unconscious in her car under a bridge and is rushed to the hospital. By the river, Jan and Gaon sit together in silence for a while. He asks her if she regrets becoming his anti-fan. She admits that she does, saying that if she had been more patient earlier, things might not have turned out this way. Jan apologizes sincerely, acknowledging that much of the hate she receives is because of him. Trying to lighten the mood, she suggests they get something to eat, and he agrees, mentioning that he hasn't eaten all day either. In a rare moment of closeness, he hugs her, offering comfort. Their moment is interrupted when Jan receives a call informing him that In Hyung is in the hospital. Concerned, he decides to go immediately and plans to drop Gaon home first, but she insists on accompanying him, knowing the situation could attract attention and create more rumors if he goes alone. At the hospital, Gaon offers to check on In Hyung while Jan waits outside. Inside the room, she sees In Hyung unconscious and recalls Jan's words about failing to protect the people he cares about. Quietly, she wonders if In Hyung still wants his protection. Later, when In Hyung regains consciousness, she is surprised to see both Jan and Gaon there. She avoids answering Jan's questions, creating an awkward silence. Gaon steps outside to give them space. In a private conversation, In Hyung claims she doesn't remember how she ended up there. Jan asks if Jae-jun has been hurting her and says he won't ignore things anymore if that's the case. She responds with confusion and self-blame, revealing how conflicted she feels. As the situation becomes more complicated, Hoo-jan's assistant arrives and urges him to leave due to media attention. In-hyung refuses to involve Jae-jun and Gaon volunteers to stay behind with her so Hoo-jan can leave safely. The assistant appreciates her support. While alone with Gaon, In-hyung admits something shocking. She was the one who leaked the damaging information about Hoo-jan. She claims she did it so that people would stop blaming Gaon. This confession leaves Gaon stunned. She questions her actions, pointing out how much pain they have caused everyone involved. In-hyung, however, insists that her feelings are too complicated to be understood easily. Soon after, everyone gathers again at the hospital. Including Jae-jun, the tension is obvious as all of them face each other. He becomes suspicious upon noticing Hoo-jan's number on In-hyung's phone. Meanwhile, news spreads that Hoo-jan is at the hospital, and reporters begin gathering outside. To avoid further scandal, they create a plan. In-hyung leaves disguised as a nurse, while Gaon stays in the room pretending to be the patient so the media believes Hoo-jan came to see her instead. Later, Hoo-jan visits Gaon with food and she feels relieved seeing him. He shares a plan with her and takes her back to his house. There he finally shows her his private room, something he had kept hidden before. She is fascinated by the space and notices photos from his past, including childhood pictures, his mother, and moments with In-hyung and Jae-jun. This leads to a deeper conversation about their past friendship. Hoo-jan explains how the three of them once dreamed of becoming successful together. However, after his debut, things changed. He gained attention and success earlier than the others, which created distance between them. Misunderstandings grew, especially when Jae-jun tried to recruit him into his company and he refused. Over time, they drifted apart. The next day, a new concern arises when Hoo-jan suddenly goes missing. His assistant contacts Gaon, worried that something has happened to him. Together, they investigate and discover that a fan had been sending gifts with a specific address. Following the lead, they find Hoo-jan performing secretly at an event. It turns out he had been asked to sing at a surprise proposal organized by a fan. After finishing the performance, he calmly explains the situation, brushing it off as something he couldn't refuse. Later, Gaon meets Jae-jun again. He tries to explain his feelings, admitting that his jealousy stems from In-hyung still being emotionally connected to Hoo-jan. Gaon listens but ultimately decides to distance herself from him, stating that she doesn't want to get involved in their complicated history any further. When she returns home, Hoo-jan is waiting for her. They spend time together by the river talking about recent events. He tells her that a new episode of their show is about to air. When she watches it, she is surprised to learn that one of their earlier accidental moments was actually planned without her knowledge. This revelation shocks her but also makes her realize how much of their lives are being shaped by the show. As filming continues, they are asked to perform more intimate scenes to meet audience expectations. Their interactions begin to blur the line between acting and reality. Hoo-jan starts spending more time at her place, cooking for her and integrating into her daily life. Her friends notice the growing closeness between them and encourage her not to ignore her feelings. One evening, after spending time together with friends, Hoo-jan becomes drunk and falls asleep. Gaon takes care of him and later they continue talking through messages, unable to sleep. Their connection deepens quietly without dramatic declarations. Soon, a new opportunity arises, a commercial offer featuring both of them. Gaon is surprised to be considered, but Hoo-jan's assistant reassures her that despite the negativity she has faced, this could be a turning point in her career. He promises that both he and Hoo-jan will support her fully. At this stage, their journey reflects growth, trust, and emotional complexity. What started as conflict has gradually turned into something deeper, shaped by shared struggles, difficult choices, and the slow realization that their lives are becoming intertwined in ways neither of them expected. In the following part of the story, Hoo-jan arrives at his house and finds Jae-jun already there waiting for him. The atmosphere is tense from the very beginning. Hoo-jan confronts him immediately, questioning why he made decisions involving In-hyung without consulting him first, especially since she belongs to his agency. Jae-jun responds sharply, saying that even if he had asked, Hoo-jan would never have agreed anyway. Their conversation quickly turns into an argument, filled with unresolved resentment from the past. Jae-jun accuses Hoo-jan of abandoning In-hyung earlier in their lives, implying that he has no right to question anything now. Hoo-jan, trying to avoid reopening old wounds, suggests they drop the matter. However, Jae-jun continues, pointing out that if Hoo-jan ever reveals details about In-hyung, he would also have to admit their past romantic relationship, something he claims Hoo-jan lacks the courage to do. This comment enraged Hoo-jan deeply, and he fires back by accusing Jae-jun of never truly wishing well for In Hyang and instead harboring selfish motives. Later, Jae-jun reflects on this confrontation and feels weighed down by everything that has happened. Meanwhile, Hoo-jun takes Gunyoung to a meaningful place where they spend quiet time together. During their conversation, Hoo-jun reveals that he saved her name in his phone under a special nickname connected to a ring he once owned. He explains that the ring had sentimental value, as it came from his father and had the word Yama engraved on it. Gunyoung initially doesn't understand, but Hoo-jun reminds her that she had once found the ring for him during their trip abroad. Unfortunately, he lost it again and someone else took it before he could retrieve it. Gunyoung suddenly recalls seeing Jae-jun searching for that same ring. Realizing its importance, she decides to take action. She goes to Jae-jun's office and directly asks him about the ring. He admits he found it, and when she sees it, she begins to understand everything more clearly. She thanks him for supporting her in the past, especially when she had negative feelings toward Hoo-jun, but now she recognizes that he has also been hiding the truth. She takes the ring and returns it to Hoo-jun, bringing him a sense of closure. Later, Gunyoung spends time with her friends, enjoying a meal and trying to relax. During this time, she receives a message from Hoo-jun saying he is waiting outside. She says goodbye to her friends and goes out to meet him. They drive to a quiet place and begin talking about their relationship. Gunyoung admits she never imagined she would end up dating someone as famous as him. Hoo-jun smiles, and their conversation turns poetic as they look up at the stars. He reflects on how people often promise impossible things in love, like bringing down stars from the sky. Gunyoung tells him that the stars remind her of someone, and he playfully asks if she means her former boyfriend. She laughs, and then asks if he ever dreamed of becoming as bright as the stars. Hoo-jun explains that his journey wasn't driven by ambition alone, but by circumstances. He feels that he took opportunities that belonged to someone else and made mistakes along the way. He then reveals deeply personal details about himself, his real birthday, his origins in Alaska, and the mystery surrounding his father. The ring is the only clue he has, and his assistant is trying to trace its origin. He confesses his fears, saying that just as he failed to protect important people in his past, he worries he might fail again. Gunyoung reassures him, telling him that those people understand his efforts and intentions. Hoo-jun then admits that now more than anything he wants to protect someone else, clearly referring to her. She smiles, understanding his feelings without him needing to say more. Meanwhile, Jae-jun attempts to form a business alliance with Hoo-jun's agency director, but the proposal is rejected. On the other side, Gunyoung returns home and is unexpectedly visited by the agency director. He warns her that being in a relationship with Hoo-jun could damage his image and reminds her of what happened with In Hyang. He advises her to stay within her own level, implying that their relationship is unsuitable. His words deeply affect her, and she decides that after the next shoot she will leave. The following day, the production team announces a major change. The show will end soon and the final filming will take place during a trip. Hoo-jun is informed privately that this will be the last shoot, but Gunyoung is unaware of this decision. When Hoo-jun later announces it publicly, she is shocked and emotional. He thanks her sincerely, presenting her with flowers, which makes her even more overwhelmed. During the final shoot at the beach, they share heartfelt moments. They write their names together in the sand, symbolizing their journey, and enjoy their time without worrying about the future. At the end, Hoo-jun tells her this is not truly an ending but a new beginning, and he kisses her. Afterward, he drops her home. She wants to tell him about her decision to move out but hesitates. Soon after, she receives a job offer from a media company and feels hopeful about her future. Meanwhile, Jae-jun continues to create pressure, threatening Hoo-jun by saying he can harm not only his reputation but also the people he cares about. This leads to another confrontation, where Hoo-jun realizes the extent of Jae-jun's intentions. As events unfold, misunderstandings arise when confidential information about Hoo-jun is leaked through Gunyoung's workplace. Although she is not directly responsible, she feels guilty. The situation escalates, causing media chaos and damaging Hoo-jun's image. Their communication becomes limited due to interference from the agency director, who tries to control the situation. Despite everything, Hoo-jun eventually contacts Gunyoung, reassuring her that things will be okay. Meanwhile, a shocking revelation occurs. Jae-jun discovers that the ring is connected to his own father, revealing a hidden connection between their lives. Hoo-jun later uncovers the truth about his father, learning about his parents' past love and separation. This emotional revelation leads him to visit his father's grave, where he breaks down, finally understanding the meaning behind everything. Tragedy strikes when Jae-jun and In Hyang are involved in an accident. Hoo-jun rushes to the hospital, overwhelmed by guilt and concern. Gunyoung also arrives, blaming herself for everything that has happened. The situation leaves everyone emotionally shaken. Time passes and life slowly moves forward. Jun prepares to leave the country to escape the chaos surrounding him. Gunyoung continues working and tries to rebuild her life, though she deeply misses him. Eventually, they reunite at a wedding event. Seeing each other again brings back all their emotions. Jun later meets her privately, shares his new music, and they reconnect on a deeper level. Finally, on his birthday, he invites her to meet him. At a special location, he surprises her with a romantic proposal. Holding a bouquet and revealing the words, "Marry me," he expresses his love openly. Gunyoung, overwhelmed with happiness, accepts his proposal, and they seal the moment with a kiss, marking the beginning of a new chapter in their lives.